I get high and I get low. Oh, but that's the way these things go.
So looks like we prematurely recorded this
I know.
week.
I rushed to edit. I stayed up late. And then right as I hit upload, I get a YouTube notification.
Full trailer for El Camino. We get double the fun this week. The teaser was amazing, and the trailer was even better.
Yeah, actually, this harkens back to the good old days of Sawcast. We had the instant take, 49-second teaser, and later in the week you get the full reaction to the full trailer.
Kit and caboodle, so to speak.
That's right.
So here we are. We watched the trailer about a dozen times each. Very exciting. Amazing. Lots to speculate about. What was your first reaction, like when it finished and you were just staring speechless at the screen?
It was a roller coaster of emotions because when it first starts, it has that intense... Breaking Bad has always been good at using the soundtrack and the score to ratchet up the intensity. Starts off where you see the cop car driving by, and it has that...
Oh, yeah. Ever since, Inception.
That's right. I was going to say a Christopher Nolan-esque trumpet, and it felt like sickening almost. And then it felt melancholy. I get high, I get low. So now I have Enchanted and that to add to my my playlist that I'll be listening to.
So we'll talk about that song soon. That was a great choice for this trailer.
Right.
Let's talk about that beginning part where it's really dark. Jesse's hiding in the car holding a gun as all the cops drive by.
Yeah.
Do you think that he's prepared to use that gun on the police, or is that in case Nazis come after him?
I don't think he would ever use it on the police.
Agreed.
I mean, he was so hesitant to kill in the series, at all.
Yeah.
It took a lot to push him to the point where he killed Gale. The only other...
but it was because it was either him or Gale. But it also took a lot of pressure from Walt.
Yeah.
Externally.
Well, that's true. And also, I guess I'm speculating here, but we know so little about Jesse's mental state right now. I've been going in with this. I want to go in believing the best, which is that this is all about Jesse trying to redeem himself, trying to be a better person. But he could just as well be, screw this. I've been so effed over by life. I had to face Nazis.
Yeah. No one's had to do that in like 60 years.
Exactly. And this is probably literally the only time in history someone has been in his situation where he's at a Nazi compound forced to cook meth because he knows how to make really good meth.
Japan was making meth back in World War II.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know if they used slave labor to do it, but...
Well, we can at least say it's an unusual circumstance, we can say at least. So he could have a major chip on his shoulder, and maybe he's let go of morals a little bit. That's really, honestly, this is the first time I've considered that possibility because I want to see the best in Jesse. I want to assume he's a good person and that he's going to maintain that, and this is going to be all about him.
I think he's going to be a good boy.
Exactly. That's what I'm trying to say. They're good boys.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Werner.
Long story short, I don't think he's going to point that gun at a police officer unless it's a crooked cop of some kind.
Oh. Yeah, I guess that's fine. I don't think they're going to go in that direction. But, I think he's prepared to defend himself against evildoers. I don't see him getting in a shootout with the police. So after that scene, he shows up at Skinny Pete's door, and Skinny Pete can hardly recognize him at first. He looks like he's seen a ghost. And then we see Jesse's face, and he looks horrible.
Yeah. You don't see a lot of him. We didn't see a lot of him in the Breaking Bad finale. So it's a good reminder, just that close-up shot of his face. He's scarred up.
Yeah.
We don't know. I'm curious if they're going to show us any of what happened when he was at the compound. when he was under Todd's care, or if they're just going to imply how difficult things were. But clearly, I mean, he was tortured. They hurt him. They scarred him.
Yeah. And it's and also we see later on his back is all scarred up too, and we'll get to that.
Yeah.
This is when the music kicks in that we sang before.
Yeah.
And that almost felt like religious. That song, and it even the song mentions the word grace and things like he found grace in the black water.
Mm-hmm.
And that made me think of this idea of salvation,
right?
And that's what he finds in a place you least expect it, Skinny Pete's house.
I know.
Like it becomes light out. He's like lying in a bed. It almost reminds me of in Lord of the Rings when Frodo wakes up in Rivendell being taken care of by the elves. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and instead of elves, it's Skinny Pete and Badger.
Yeah.
I'll tell you this. I'd rather wake up to see Skinny Pete and Badger than a bunch of
pointy-eared
freaks.
Yeah.
It's funny. This is one of the things we were speculating on a few days ago. What do you do after you escape? How do you cut your hair? You go to Skinny Pete and Badger's house.
Yeah.
Which I guess we were thinking maybe he wouldn't do that because that's the first place the cops would go.
Yeah, and I've been thinking about that. I have some ideas.
Yeah, go ahead.
The cops don't necessarily know Jesse was at the compound. They're not going to know that right away. It might take some investigating. Right? Like what trace? First, they're going to have a trace. They're going to be able to tell someone was imprisoned there.
Right.
But they won't necessarily know that it was Jesse. Now, he was informing to the police toward the end of Breaking Bad. He was being recorded by Gomez and Hank, kind of confessing to everything that happened.
Right.
So that's on tape somewhere. And so he's on their radar for sure. But they might not know right away that it's him, and there's so much other stuff for them to deal with. Their first course of action might not be to follow up with Skinny Pete and Badger immediately. Now, this, assuming the footage in the teaser trailer of Skinny Pete being questioned, assuming that's taken from the movie and it's not just like a teaser that they made up for us, that means he's lying about knowing about Jesse's whereabouts or something, or having been in contact with him.
Right. That's a really good point. I don't know why we didn't think of that after the first teaser, but that's true. Why would they jump to the conclusion it was Jesse? Mm-hmm. They might be aware that he disappeared. They might be aware, and they know that he was associated with Walt. But why, if they saw that the Nazis were holding someone captive, why would they think it would be Jesse?
Now, think about how much, what a scene the authorities are walking into there. 9 bodies, right?
Right.
This drug kingpin, Walter White, this gang of Nazis, a car with a machine gun, a giant meth lab. They have a lot to look into, and figuring out that Jesse was the one they're cooking might take some time. It might take them like a day for all we know. They have to like look into people's phone records or who knows.
Right.
So that's not going to be an obvious thing for them to look at right away. And also, he really doesn't have any other choice. Where else is he going to go?
Yeah.
So he found some respite at Skinny Pete's place. Mm-hmm. I think we all can relate.
I'm at Adam's apartment right now. Come here sometime. I feel like Jesse, having just come to Skinny Pete's house. Adam's taking care of me.
That's right. I'll make you a nice warm bowl of soup. We see him take a shower, right?
Yeah.
And the dirt that just comes off of him, you realize they probably weren't letting him take any showers.
Yeah.
Who knows? How long do you think he was there?
I was
Weeks,
just going to
months?
ask you, do we have any concept of how much time
It could have
went
been
by?
months, I think.
Yeah, I think it probably was, yeah.
Imagine going months. First, you're being working sucks, and he's being forced to work.
Yeah.
Then he can't shower. He's being kept in like was he being kept on like a dirt floor or something?
We don't know.
Cell?
So in the first teaser, Skinny Pete says, I saw the cage they kept him in. And is that a literal cage?
I think I remember them keeping him I remember seeing him being kept in a cage during Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
So he's being kept in these horrible conditions. It could be for months. Can't even brush his teeth.
Yeah. Ugh. Imagine if when you see all that dirt flowing into the drain in the shower, you just see a few teeth fall out.
He sneezes. Some teeth fly out.
And you see, we mentioned it earlier, but you see his scarred up back.
Yeah.
So they probably were whipping him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it does look like he got whipped. We see Badger there too. He takes his hat off, almost it's like he's seeing like a war veteran, someone who just came back from war.
Yeah, that was one of the things that got to me emotionally so much in this trailer, was the many shots of Skinny Pete and Badger just looking at Jesse, and just how heartbroken they look.
Yeah,
of like, oh my God, look at this guy. Yeah, that made me feel sick.
Yeah, and they might even feel a little bit responsible, like he's their friend.
Yeah.
Who knows what they're thinking when they look at him, but it's I think they're just shocked by his condition.
Yeah, and it hits you especially hard because those are the two characters that were typically used for comedic relief.
Yeah.
The last time we saw them, they were holding up those laser pointers and it was played for laughs. So to see them shaken like this, it just hits home just how far Jesse's fallen and just what he has to crawl back from.
Yeah. And so then in the next scene, we see two people standing by a body of water.
Right, which when you see that, the first thing you think is disposing of a body, disposing of evidence. But I have no idea. I couldn't even tell if one of those figures was Jesse. It was hard to... They were purposefully kind of a distant shot out of focus.
Yep. So I don't really have much to add to that. It's just a quick little part of the trailer. But.
Yeah. Well, one thing I'd say is that I'm glad... I said the same thing for the second teaser. And once again, when I saw the full trailer dropped, for a moment, I thought to myself, do I want to skip this? I really don't want to give anything away. But once again, they really haven't told us anything plot-wise. And this is one example of that. We see a shot. We don't know anything about it. They've just peeled the curtain back a little bit.
Yeah. And I'm not intelligent enough to figure out what happens. So
yeah. I am intelligent enough, so we should stop speculating now. Because I'm afraid I'm going to figure it out.
All right. Join us next week for... Yeah. Okay, then we see a photo like being held up on some little shelf or whatever with a paper clip. Picture of Brock, Jesse's deceased girlfriend's son. The girlfriend, Andrea, who was killed by...
Todd.
Todd, yeah. He makes Jesse watch... as he's like gagged in the car, and Todd knocks on the door and she answers it, and then he stands behind her and goes, I just want you to know this isn't anything personal.
Yeah.
Shoots her in the back of the head.
Yeah, that is the death that in Breaking Bad, and all of Breaking Bad, that's the death that stuck with me the most, honestly, because it's just so sickening. Just this woman who, she wasn't in the game, she wasn't involved in all this stuff she was involved, but she was pulled into it. It wasn't like Walt or Jesse where they chose to be in this.
Yeah, it's collateral damage.
Yeah, and just the way she got shot in the back of the head and her son is nearby, Jesse's watching. That's one thing that it just pops into my head every once in a while when I think of this show. Even now talking about it, what's that?
It hurts.
It does. It turns my stomach. It's so awful. Even though Todd shot a child earlier, but for some reason this one just hits me even harder. Well,
shooting the child, there was a logic to it. They all agreed beforehand, no witnesses, right?
Right.
And it's not a good thing to do, but you don't see it and think this. It makes you think that Todd's kind of a sociopath, but you don't necessarily think he is pure evil.
Right.
The way this does. It just makes you think he's pretty evil.
Yeah.
Because, look, Jesse shot Gale for essentially the same reason.
Yeah, but he
felt bad about it.
Yeah, and I don't think anything could have brought Jesse to the point
No.
where he would shoot a child.
And we've known from the get-go he has a soft spot for kids.
Right.
In part maybe because his younger brother is so much younger than him.
I do. We're saying that Jesse wouldn't shoot a child. You're like, yeah, and we know he has a soft spot for kids.
I've never been a huge kid person, so like who knows what would happen, but at least Jesse, they made a point of that.
I think so. I think the reason, or part of the reason, that Andrea being shot hit me harder than the child is because we also grew to know Andrea to some degree. She was an established character, so we had some attachment to her. So I think that's part of what made it hit harder.
True. All right, next we see Jesse in the desert digging something up.
Yeah.
Do you think he's getting that barrel of money?
No, I'm fairly certain. And over the last couple of episodes that we've been talking, I think it's becoming more and more clear that we need to probably rewatch the last 3 episodes in the lead up to El Camino.
Yeah.
But I'm fairly certain that money was taken. Remember when the Nazi was holding the gun to Hank's head? Mm-hmm. And part of what Walt was able to bargain with is, I could tell you where all this money is.
Yeah.
Right? So they unburied all that money. They gave Walt 1 barrel, remember? And he rolled it away.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that money has been taken. I presume it's at the compound, or this is months later, so they've probably taken that money, put it away. So I don't think that money's still there.
See, if he put that money in Bitcoin or something like that,
Oh, yeah, well.
then they couldn't have just taken, he wouldn't have had all this physical cash. Didn't they say bugs were eating it? Like Skylar had to spray it with something
really?
to keep, yeah, because there's some kind of insect that eats money. I think actually like Al Capone had a similar problem. I think that's where they
Really?
came from. Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. I don't remember that.
Yeah. She mentioned something about some kind of worm or something that she had to spray because it was eating money.
You think that's going to be a major plot point for El Camino?
Yeah, Jesse.
You should have put it in Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Vince Gilligan. You know, I realized I had a lot to say about digital currency, so I knew we had to bring this show back.
This whole movie and the revival of Breaking Bad has just been a way for him to launch Vince Coin.
So I don't think we know what he's digging up in that desert.
Yeah.
I think it's likely something we haven't seen before.
I don't think it's the barrel either. I think those have already been recovered. I just want it to be because I want to make sure he has money.
Yeah. It does feel like, so although they don't tell us much plot from the movie, at least to me, it feels like Jesse is doing, it feels heisty, right? You see him kind of sneaking around.
Yeah.
It feels like one last score and then I'm out of here.
I've heard that before.
Yeah. Usually works out. It's just one more.
Yeah. Then when he finishes digging up whatever he's digging up, there's a kid standing there looking.
You know, one feeling that I got watching this trailer, I mentioned earlier the intensity of the opening for the trailer, and then it cuts in with that almost religious song. Mm-hmm. Part of this, it feels very epilogue-y. In a way, it felt like we're not supposed to see this. Like the credits rolled already. It's over. And then you came back to see what happens next. And it almost feels, I don't know, it feels like wrong almost. Like we're not supposed to see this.
And in part, because I think part of that is it's hard to believe that it will be well executed.
Yeah.
Even though I know it will be.
Right.
That's the cool. Like, I remember when Breaking Bad was originally on TV and something outrageous would happen or there was some kind of cliffhanger that we really didn't know what to make of it or was so unexpected. And we would like sometimes have to reassure ourselves and be like, we trust the writers.
Yeah.
Right. Like, even though I don't know what to make of this and if it was any other show, I might be worried that the next episode's going to be bad. Never had to worry about that with them.
Yeah. No, I trust Vince Gilligan more than any other showrunner, writer, director.
Or just any person in general.
Yeah. I would trust him with my life.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
You hear that, Vince?
Yeah.
And like you said, it does look like Jesse's plotting something or he's scheming in some way maybe he has an idea for how he's going to get out of all this.
Yeah.
He's cooperating with someone or working with some people or doing something. He's not a total lone wolf.
What makes you say that?
Just that last scene, and I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but that last scene where some man goes, "You ready?"
And then
And he's almost smiling a little bit. And he goes, "Yeah."
Yeah, he seems, when the person says, "You ready?" it seems like he's trying to imply you're about to go through something big, something tough.
Or we're about to do something.
And Jesse just seems, no doubt, he's just, he's
committed.
ready.
Yeah, so I think I was going to say, I think he's up to something, but if he wasn't, then there would be no movie. So
Right.
something's going to happen.
I think things will happen. You see him sneaking around. You see him sneaking around in a building. You see him kind of moving around the corner. You see him in a dark room with a flashlight. Lots of sneaking.
He's got this. There's a bug crawling around, and it climbs onto Jesse's hand, and he just sort of watches it and lets it crawl around a bit. Now, I think that's something his character may have done in the past anyway. I think that's sort of in character for him. But also, if you think about the conditions he's been in, he's probably been surrounded by bugs and rats and all kinds of nastiness for a while that it doesn't faze him anymore. And I think maybe he has like a gentle soul. You know, he doesn't want to kill. He just lets that bug crawl around on him. He just looks at it.
Yeah, and I saw the way he looked at that bug, to me, looked like longing almost, where he's jealous of the simplicity.
I think he's just jealous of how many legs it has.
What I'd do with 6 legs.
I'd rule the world.
Yeah, but I think that this will probably be a more emotional 2 hours than we've seen in any of Breaking Bad. I think that's what I thought when I saw that scene. Is this is going to be much more focused on the emotional journey of a character. It's not going to be. We speculated a lot on what's the journey going to be here, because we've already seen the battle between good and evil and temptation. That's what Breaking Bad was. It's about a man turning to evil. That's what Better Call Saul is kind of about. And we thought, is that going to be the journey for Jesse? And we both agreed that it's likely, or one possibility is that it's more going to be about a man putting himself back together, a very emotional journey. And that's kind of what I thought. I mean, it was just a moment, but when he was looking at that bug, I just felt bad for him. And I don't know, I'm rambling a bit, but it just felt very emotional to me. I mean, the whole trailer.
Yeah, and I can't wait.
Yeah.
When does it come out again?
October 11th.
That's soon.
Yeah.
That's like in about 2 weeks.
Yeah, we got Joker next week, October 4th.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that'll be good. Whatever.
Tide us over.
Yeah, and then 1 week later,
El
3 a.m. Yeah.
3 a.m.
Well, typically,
Are you gonna sleep and then wake up to watch it, or you're probably gonna be too excited, right?
Yeah, I think so. This happened to me a couple of years ago. Growing up, my favorite comic book was The Punisher, and as a kid, I dreamed of it would be amazing if HBO or some premium network that could take chances and have a mature series will create a Punisher series one day. And I never thought in a million years it would happen. And then Netflix decides to come out with a Punisher series. And I was so excited Thursday night, the night before it came out. And I told myself it'd be crazy to stay up until 3 a.m. and watch it. And so I went to sleep. But, I happened to wake up at 4 in the morning. I don't know if I was too excited. And I was like, I can't fall asleep. I'm too excited now. So I watched like 3 episodes before going to work that day. I have a feeling that the same thing will happen with El Camino.
We're going to do an instant take.
That's right.
And what day of the week is that?
It's a Friday.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, we're going to set a time where you and I are going to watch it. So it's going to be the Saulcast El Camino watch party. We'll announce the time. We'll all watch it together. And then right afterwards, maybe a 5-minute bathroom break, Adam and I will come back in live. Our first ever.
Oh, wait.
Maybe we'll do it live.
If just one person emails us and says, please do a live stream, we'll do it.
Yeah,
If
okay.
no one emails us, then
forget
about
it.
Yeah.
If this is the request, Vince Gilligan, if you email us,
If you become a permanent member of this podcast, we'll consider live streaming.
at a minimum, we'll have the instant take.
Yeah.
Have we covered everything in the trailer?
The last thing I wanted to talk about is my gut reaction when I saw that last part where the guy says, "Are you ready?" and Jesse says, "Yeah." I had the gut feeling of like Jesse agreed to work with the police or be some kind of informant. I don't think that's what happens, because logically I don't understand what the purpose would be, because everyone he could inform on is now dead.
Right.
It seems. But I had that feeling that he somehow agreed to work with the police or something.
Yeah, I don't think it's a cop, only because it felt like a fake out. You see a cop walking, and then it cuts to almost a very Western style shot where you see somebody facing Jesse. It's shot right from that person's hip, so you see their hand over a gun holster. And then you see Jesse across from them, his hand over a gun holster, like they're about to duel. And I think it cuts from the cop to that shot, so you're meant to think that it's Jesse staring down a cop.
Yeah.
But
that's probably what I probably got faked out.
Exactly. And then it cuts to, "You ready?" So I think it's a fake out. Having said that, I don't know. The first thing my mind went to was vacuum cleaner
I was thinking
guy.
that too. Yeah.
This is him going to disappear.
Jesse would need it's a couple $100,000.
Yeah, yeah, it's not cheap. And then because that's what I thought, I immediately thought, well, it's not what it is.
Yeah, and also that's almost like a Deus Ex Machina at this point, because that would make the three characters we're most concerned about having used the same mechanism to escape, basically.
Right. But at the same time, it would come up in his mind.
For sure.
Because he knows it's an option. They've talked about it so many times. But yeah, there's that big hurdle of, where is he going to get $200,000 or $150,000 or whatever it is. We also saw the dump guy.
Oh yeah.
So remind me what that's all about.
So we didn't see the guy. We may have seen like his legs. So we don't know for sure that's who we were looking at. But if you think about the scale of the operation, this was like a multi-billion-dollar enterprise, a huge trail of bodies, and like so many different government agencies would be involved in this, like the ATF, the CIA, because of like the international drug trafficking.
You're
the
talking
FBI.
about the whole drug organization that Walt, Gus were involved
Exactly.
in. Right?
And so this is going to be handled by the federal government. This is going to be this is probably, for all we know, if this were to happen in real life, it would be one of the most massive investigations in world history. It's such a huge operation. It's so much money tied up in it. And so many illegal things were happening that you better believe that they're going to go through the dump to try to find that RV.
Wait, so remind me what we're talking about here, the dump.
Yeah, so do you remember that they got rid of the evidence of the RV by having it crushed at the dump by that junkyard dude? Who, remember when he was coaching Jesse on what to say to Hank when he was standing outside the RV, and he's like, "This is my own private domicile and I will not be harassed."
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, that guy. So he was like this legal expert junkyard guy who also was on Seinfeld, who played Kramer in the meta show.
The show within the show.
Within the show, yeah. And I'm pretty sure, I could be completely wrong, but what I thought was happening was that the junkyard was being revisited perhaps by investigators to try to find, they're on the trail. They're figuring out what happened. Jesse I believe would have told them about the RV and that they destroyed it there. So they're leaving no stone unturned here.
Right.
That's one possibility. The other possibility is for some other reason Jesse is visiting the junkyard or whatever.
Right. And all we saw in the trailer is you see a junkyard, You see a guy's legs propped up on a table.
Yeah.
You see a TV screen, wanted, Jesse, Bruce Pinkman, I think.
Oh, yeah, Bruce, yeah.
Yeah, and so all we see is a shot of the dump, and we see legs on a table.
Yeah, so I extrapolated a lot.
Yeah.
And I could be completely wrong, and it could have nothing to do with an investigation.
Yeah, it could be Jesse goes to him because he needs help.
Yeah, or it could be the guy is like, oh, I remember crushing an RV for him. Let me see if I can fish it out. There's probably I could get a reward.
Right.
Although he doesn't seem like the type who would do that. He seemed to have principles.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, who knows why we're revisiting that dump?
Yeah.
There's a lot of potential reasons.
Well, that guy was his primary role. As I remember, he was a recurring character throughout the series.
Mm-hmm.
Was his primary role getting rid of evidence, or did he do
Not
other stuff
normally.
too? He could be somehow helping Jesse in his heist or whatever plan he has in this movie.
Yeah, didn't he supply them with the giant magnet?
Yeah, maybe. That's what I'm trying to remember. I think he might be. I think he helped dispose of Mike's body. He got rid of the RV. So I'm trying to connect the dots between. You see Jesse lighting something on fire, so it seems like his plan involves some sciencey stuff. And
Science,
exactly. So I don't know if the dump guy gives him something or helps him out with some equipment.
Who knows?
We'll see.
I'm sure that we could figure out everything if we thought about it long enough, but we don't want to spoil it for everyone.
No.
We like to keep the mystery for you.
I saw some articles online. Well, a couple funny things I saw. So first, when that second trailer came out, where it was just a shot of the car, Jesse sitting in it, and you hear the radio.
Yeah.
I saw a couple of articles that were like, finally, the full trailer for El Camino, and then it'll show that. And, one thing that people might wonder is these movie websites, these blogs that will come out with articles immediately. How do they do that? How do they quickly type up an article 8 seconds after the trailer aired? It's because when you know something's coming, right? We knew that there was an El Camino teaser dropping during the Emmys. You prepare an article in advance, and you just have a placeholder where you drop the trailer in. So probably all these people assumed there was going to be a full trailer, and so they typed up the article to be ready for it. So I just thought that was funny. I saw a few articles like that. It was like the full trailer, and then it's this 30-second thing.
That's what this podcast is. We record all these episodes before the show even happens.
Oh yeah, this was recorded a year ago.
Yeah.
Finally, Breaking Bad movie. I also saw articles saying, I suspect that they want us to believe the voice saying, "You ready?" is Walt, but I don't think it's
Wow,
Walt.
what?
Yeah, I would love to hear. I know there have been some crazy fan theories out there. I think we talked about some of them on the beloved Saulcast Halloween special.
Oh, yeah.
There was the theory that this takes place in the Walking Dead universe. There's theories out there that Walt is still alive. I think some people believe that. I think you and I both don't think that's true.
No.
Yeah. I think the trailers have pretty much already established that too.
True. But feel free to send us an email or tweet us at SaulcastPod, right?
That's right. Yeah.
What's the wildest fan theory you've heard about Breaking Bad or the Breaking Bad universe? What's the craziest speculation you have about this movie?
Yeah.
And you can email us at saulcastbros
At gmail.com.
That's right. And ask us to live stream, and maybe we'll do it.
Yeah.
Just try me.
See what
You
happens.
say that too much.
I know.
It's threatening.
Adam.
Yeah.
I can't wait. There's a freaking Breaking Bad movie coming out in 2 weeks.
I never thought this would happen.
Oh, but now
I also love that we didn't find out about it years in advance, and then I'd have to be all impatient and waiting. I like finding out shortly before it's going to drop.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my God, I can't. The only thing that bums me out is that it's only in 2 weeks it comes out, but that means in 2 weeks it's gone.
I have a theory.
What?
Well, it's not a theory. It's more like a fantasy.
Okay.
What if the movie is actually just setting the stage for a third show?
It's a backdoor pilot.
Yeah, and after that, it's like a whole series about Jesse.
Yeah, I don't see that happening.
I know, but what if it happened?
Vince Gilligan, in an interview recently, talked about what he wants to do next after Better Call Saul, after El Camino, and he says that he wants to do something outside the Breaking Bad universe, and he wants to see if he can do something that's not about an anti-hero. He said it's just so much easier to make a bad guy interesting. It's harder to make a good guy interesting.
That's a really good point.
Yeah, because a good guy just does the right thing, right, all the time.
Yeah.
The thing they struggle with is these external forces. So it's a lot. I guess he finds it easier to write about it's easier to have an internal struggle when you're not so firm on your morals.
If Vince Gilligan were to create a movie or a series about any superhero, who would you want him to do it about?
Well, I guess your mind would immediately go to an anti-hero of some kind.
No anti-heroes.
No anti-heroes? It
Yeah.
can't be like the Punisher?
I knew you were going to say Punisher.
Yeah,
No, it can't be Punisher.
All right.
It's got to be a good, like someone who's really good. He's a good boy.
Well,
Or
I
girl.
guess, I mean,
Or
I want
anything else.
I guess then I would go total opposite. I'd go to one of the heroes that's so good that it would be a real challenge for him. Superman, Captain America,
SpongeBob
SquarePants.
Yeah, Captain America would be kind of cool.
Yeah.
I guess any of those would be. I don't know. He could make anything. I trust him.
Yeah.
I'm
right.
Gil.
I'm Adam.
No. I'm Adam.
Oh.
And
This is Sawcast. The road to El Camino. Oh, you know one thing I meant to say?
What?
I meant to say this on our first return to Sawcast for the first teaser that dropped.
Yeah.
I was going to say, Adam, I bet you and all of our listeners are wondering, does Gil still remember that one line in German? Remember that?
Yeah.
Mir ist so schlecht, ich kutze gleich ins Auto.
And what does it mean? Pull over the car or something?
I'm going to throw up.
Oh, wait, but doesn't auto mean car?
I wouldn't. Well, I think that's what it was when he said he was going to throw up.
Yeah.
So yes, I do. I do remember.
I get high and I get low. Oh, but that's the way these things go. I saw my face in the mirror, and lo, I know I've changed, though I look much the same. And I found grace in the bright water bathe my soul. Tell my heart I told you so.